Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Glad you've decided to join us today for our SCORE webinar with Cheryl. Cheryl is an expert in the nonprofit and sponsorship and resource area, and she's going to give you a really compelling presentation today about how to manage and drive your nonprofit forward. My name is Ben Lazar. I'm your host today. I will kind of monitor the Q&A. I know I will get this question many times, but I'll let you know to start that the slides and the playback from the event will be shared. After the event, you will receive a post-event survey. If you complete the survey, you will receive the slides and the playback. And if you don't mind, let us know where you are calling in from this morning, and be glad to hear from folks as to where their locations are. Northern Virginia, all right. Mm-hmm. Florida, Orlando, South Florida, Georgia. Oh, look at that. Lots of Southeasterners.
Wow, pouring in. Oh my goodness. We've got a large crowd today. Yeah. Welcome everyone. You're coming in from everywhere. This is amazing. I'm so happy you're here. Lots of you. Yeah, not just Atlanta. I'm seeing states all across the United States. This is wonderful.
San Diego, an early morning for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Good to have you here. Thank you.
Great. We'll get started here in a moment. It is right at the 10 o'clock hour on the East Coast. I'm going to start with a brief introduction of SCORE, and then I'll hand it over to Cheryl to cover her content. All right. Go to the United States, a fee of $10.
Them with compliance, grant writing, consulting, training, the whole gamut. My personal and professional mission is to make sure that the nonprofit community has the resources they need to thrive, which brings me here today with you all. A lot of what I'm going to share here today, actually most, these are resources that I've either experienced directly or supported clients through the process of getting started with these resources. And I think they're so amazing. And I want you all to know about so much that it's going to feel like death by PowerPoint. But I'm thinking that you'll use this as your resource for later. Okay. Once you get, settled and you're deciding, hey, I need to look at something that's going to help my nonprofit, I want you to remember this particular slide deck. So you will receive it as long as you go ahead and submit your what was it that you needed them to
Post-event survey.
Post-event survey. So yeah, so as long as you do that. And while we're talking about that, I tend to get in my inbox often where people will come back and say, can you send me the actual PowerPoint? Can you send me the video recording? That is all, like Ben said, is going to come from SCORE. I'm actually not recording. I'm volunteering for SCORE to give you the information, but they are hosting and they actually have the video and we'll send it to you. In case any of y'all have missed that, you will get it from SCORE. All right. Let's go on to my next slide. I like to start and in my presentations with a thought for the day. And my thought for you all today is sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. I know what it feels like to be new. I know what it feels like to not be new and just be on that road to traction, wanting things to start to work out. You're out there and you're pouring out your heart to the communities that you serve. And sometimes you feel like you're in this all by yourself. And I want to assure you, you are not. This entire presentation is dedicated to proving that to you, okay? And so you are not buried by any means. You have been planted. And it's my hope, my wish for you that you start to sprout and grow with some of these resources that I share with you today. All right, so before I jump in, I need to make sure you're in the right space. Our title for our particular presentation today, it usually does attract a lot of people interested in resources. Who isn't, right? Who doesn't want somebody else's money or resources to, thrive? But this particular presentation was truly created for the nonprofit. If you are here because you're a small business, I've got something for you. But the entire presentation was created for those of you who do manage small to mid-sized nonprofits where you haven't quite reached your funding goals yet. And it's been difficult to find mission-aligned funding opportunities, right? So you're in the right place if this is you. You're also in the right place if somebody said, hey, Cheryl Smith's presenting this morning on something, show up. She's probably going to share resources. So if that's you, I've heard that before. If that's you, then you're also in the right place. If you're just plumb curious to know what we're going to be talking about today, all right, you're still in the right place. So hang out with us. Okay, so today we're going to talk about where you're going to find private foundation grants, corporate sponsors, small business grants to a small degree. All right. I'm not going to forget about my small business folks, but to a small degree, we're going to cover it. And technology resources, I've got many of those for you. And then AI resources as well. We're in this AI, I guess we're in this AI zone and everybody's talking about it. And there are some amazing AI resources that I thought might be helpful to share. Okay, this particular presentation is about where you find these resources, and that is really important. I present for SCORE chapters across the United States. And many times I'll have presentations where it is truly workshop, where we are talking about a thing, we're staying on a particular topic, and I'm making sure you're getting it, and I'm checking in and all of those things. But that isn't this, okay? This is literally almost like just literally slideshow presentation, because I want to expose you to a lot of things at once. So this is where you're going to find these resources. There's one or two slides that I have that I'm going to dig in and talk a little bit more about what you can do to prepare yourself. But for the most part, this isn't a how do I do all these things? It's a where do I find all these things, okay? Your how can come from your SCORE mentor, and that's my hope, at least, all right? The other thing that I need to mention, and I know many of you are still coming in, so bears repeating, I don't actually have the recording. And this is for everybody that's just joining. SCORE is recording, all right? You're going to want the slides, and you're also going to want the recording. In order to get at those things, you're going to complete a brief survey following this presentation, and then SCORE will happily send you out this information that you are gonna want, okay? Because there's so many of us and I've got so much to share, I'm gonna go right through the presentation. There's questions are gonna be handled at the very end, not during the presentation. And so what I would advise, at least this is what I would do if I were you, I would make sure that I am in my comfy spot, that I've closed my door, right? And I've got myself narrowly focused, right, on this presentation, because I am going to go pretty fast and I don't want you to miss anything. So please get yourself ready, because we're going to start right now with grants, and we're going to talk about where they are and then how you can actually get at them. All right. And so I'm so excited, so excited. I want to jump in chat and just chat away with you all, but we've got a lot to share. So I'm going to start. So this was important to me to talk about grants, because do you all know that over $600 billion was given to charitable organizations last year? And this is excluding government funding, okay? A lot of resources are poured into you all every single minute. If we look at that 617 billion, that breaks down to over $1 million every minute that's given to the nonprofit community. And I don't want you to leave that on the table, right? That should actually be illegal. I want you to take advantage of all this giving, okay? And so when we talk about grants, if we look at our items 2 and 4 here, combined, that's about $160 billion in grants. All right. So we're going to lead our conversation talking about where do we find these amazing juicy nuggets. I want you to know this with certainty. All right. And so grant databases, hands down, is where you're going to start your search if you are a nonprofit. Small business, that's a little bit different. We're going to talk about you later. But if you're a nonprofit, you don't want to spin your wheels Googling all day long. It's not always going to lead you where you need to be. You want to get yourselves your hands on a database that you can then go in, keyword search, narrow and refine to mission aligned opportunities that you can actually apply for and have a fair chance at winning. Okay. And you do that through grant databases. And not all databases are created equally, and they also have different amounts that they're going to charge you per month, per quarter, per year. Most of them, not all, but most are going to be on a subscription basis. I'm leading with some of the oldest and most known databases here. Doesn't mean this is it, but there's Instrumental. And that $2.99, I wish I could blow that up a little bit more, because if you're paying on a monthly basis, it's really $3.49 a month. And that's at their very base level. And so we can see that it can start to get pricey. So I've got some things for you, okay? Because I'm the gatekeeper, I feel like, for the small guys. So I've got some things for you, but I do have them here because Instrumental happens to be amazing. That's just my thought. They do an amazing job of bringing together data sources and funders and resources that you can use within your organization. Candid, and I'm sure y'all have heard of Candid, the Foundation Center, Foundation Directory. They are probably the oldest database that's been around for the nonprofit community. Again, they do a fantastic job of bringing together funders from, across the world, not just right here in the US, but across the world. They do a very good job at that. Now, Candid, for many of you, maybe you don't know this, but they have agreements with library systems, well, at least the main libraries, where they will bring in their database so that if you're a library card holder, you can access that database for free. Now, you won't be accessing their top tier, robust system, but you will at least have access to grants that are out there in your community, and that would be Candid. There's also Grant Station, and Grant Station is another one that I love all of these. I've subscribed to most of them. I think I'm still a subscriber to these two here, but Grant Station does a fantastic job. I tend to use them when I'm looking for international grants. They do a very good job with making sure you can easily see which funders are funding on an international landscape. I like them for that reason. Don't let the $6.99 deter you. They will oftentimes have sales where the other ones may not. I've seen Grant Station offer sales, so I would also just check in to make sure that they've got a sale going on, because I don't want you to miss an opportunity to save money. There's Grant Watch. Later on, we're going to talk about business grant opportunities, and you can find some of those right here in Grant Watch. Grant Watch, I don't think their data set is as large, which I'm going to tell you, large is not always better. One of the things that I have learned is that even though a lot of these databases will say things like 100,000 funders or whatever they'll advertise, I am in the database business now too, and I've learned that 83 to 85% of all of those foundations don't actually offer grants to the average nonprofit. Most of them don't accept unsolicited grant requests. So don't let the big number draw you to a database. What I want you to do instead is go in and see what they're offering. Maybe some of these might have opportunities for you to look at some of their data first. Some of them do that. For instance, even Instrumental, they won't give you a free account, but they do offer a 14-day trial. And others of them, if you get on the call with them, may walk you through how their database works. So I would probably encourage that you do that before you settle in. But then I am a grant writer by trade, so I've got subscriptions all over the place. I don't recommend that you all necessarily do that. Find the one that fits you, and that's the one you use, because most of the grants, when you remove all the ones that don't accept unsolicited grant requests, they're going to boil down to almost the same data set anyway. Okay. All right. There's also Grant Gopher. I think I'm still subscribed there too. So this one that's their homepage. They are Simple Sally, but I will tell you, I have grown to appreciate them. They do a fantastic job of bringing together their data set. I don't think they have near as many grants as some of the other ones, but their pricing is easy on the pocket. You can see quarterly it's $87, annually it's $174. All right, and that's Grant Gopher. There's the Shareway. Shareway is coming in at about $119 a month. That 89 is only if you're paying for the whole year up front, 89 per month times 12. Otherwise, you're right around 119. They are new to the grant database field, but they have always, since they started, which is the reason they started, they've always had product donations on their website. But the grant area or offering grants, that's a little new for them. And I suspect they're going to get better and better at it. They're another company that I've been watching. I think they do a really good job with most of everything that they do. So that's the Shareway. There's also Grant Select and Catholic Funding Guide that I want to share. In addition to Grant Station, one of the reasons I subscribed to Grant Select was because I'm also Simple Sally. I like things plain and simple. And when I was looking for international funding opportunities, I liked how these were presented. They made it really easy for me to go in and find international funding opportunities. I liked that. I subscribed. Okay. And so they're also pretty easy on the pocket. They're about, what is that? $4.95 a year, $150 a quarter. And so usually most nonprofits have the budget for something like Grant Select. Catholic Funding Guide is here because I have a lot of faith-based clients, and their big pain point seems to be, where do we find grants for us? Because even in these other databases, it feels like sometimes the faith-based folks get like lost in the shuffle. And this particular database, Catholic Funding Guide, it's really dedicated to the faith-based community. You don't have to be Catholic. I have subscribed and I have found that they have lots of funding opportunities for different denominations. All right. And so in the past, and I'm thinking it's the same, you can fact check this by talking to them, they only put those opportunities in their data set if they also contributed to faith-based community. All right. So I like them for that reason. Again, everybody's pocket is different. I just felt like this was probably easy on the pocket as well, because the $49 a month, most of us, if we just didn't have 4 cups of, coffee from our favorite, barista, we could afford that, right? And so it's not like heavy on the pocket. And that's the reason why they're included. And then there's us. I did mention that I recently got into the database arena. I threw my hat in. I never knew that I was going to do that. I just got a little frustrated with the heavy fees that I pay on a regular basis. And about a month or so ago, I, put on developer hat, I dibble and dab, and I decided it was time. So Connect to Grants is super new, just launched last month so that we could literally just bring data to the average nonprofit. I know how you all search. I do, because guess what? I'm you too. I am. The exception is I do this for a living, so I have to be in a database every single day. I have to be looking at grant applications every single day. You don't. And so one of the things that, just kind of got my goat was the subscriptions. And so I thought, well, what if we didn't have a subscription? What if we just had a pass? And when it was over, right? And so I know how you all search. You may decide like on a Friday that you just want to binge on grant, searches, and then you're done. You've got your list of 100. Well, that's what this allows you to do. So anyway, that's enough about Connect to Grants. It's my baby. It's been my baby project. I'm super proud of it. And so we're in the grant database business, folks. All right, let's move on to the free, because who doesn't like good free? Okay. And so if you're looking for absolute good free, that would be grantmakers.io. I'm going to tell you, there's so many things to love about them besides just being free. Okay. I like that when you go to their, and this is one of the reasons I use them. I like that when you go to their database, you could do reverse searches. If you want to find out like who funded another organization, you usually can do that. You go to these profiles and they'll actually list recipients. So you're able to see the recipients of some of these grants. And if they funded, say, your competitor, these organizations may fund you too. So I like them for reverse searches. I think they do a really good job. I just like their whole outfit. And I also love that they're free. There's Zeffy. Zeffy is throwing their hat in too. The only downside, and let me tell you, like, I'm such a Zeffy lover. Like I have zero affiliation with Zeffy. Like I don't get any kickback from telling you guys about all this goodness, but I like that they are 100% free. And I'm only listing them because I'm thinking they're going to get better at their database. Y'all just go on over there and see for yourself. But I feel like they do need to bring in more grants. But again, are you going to complain with free? Not really. So there's also Zeffy if you're looking for free grant searches. Okay, Zeffy.com. All right. And so moving right along, there's Grantsmanship Center and there's $1 Million List. Now, these are not databases. The reason I have them here is because they're amazing resources, okay? If you want to find out the top giving organizations or funders in your state, Grantsmanship Center has you covered. If you were to go under, they have resources like state resources on their top menu, and you pull up the state resources, select your state and friends, you're going to find the top giving corporations, the top giving foundations. You're going to find your community foundations there. It is just free information sitting there waiting for you to access it. $1 Million List, because I understand all of you aren't new. You're probably joining from different levels of service. And if you are looking to find those funders that fund on a large scale, Indiana University, they collect data on who's giving $1 million in grants or more, and not grants with an S, at least $1 million. So they're not going to be on this list if they don't make grants for at least $1 million. So I actually like to peruse the $1 Million List here and there. And so I'm putting this in as our resource, just in case some of you feel the same way. All right. All right. And so here is my all-time. They're all my favorite. Can you tell how excited I am about other people's money? I am. All right. So I like the philanthropic services through banks. So there are a lot of banks that offer bank administered grants. There really isn't a shortage of them out there. And so let me tell you what is so cool about these is when you go to these different websites, and by the way, my screen can't even hold them all. This is not even a third of them, friends. Okay. Not even a third. All right. So when you go to these websites, for instance, if you were to go right now, fact check me and look at Wells Fargo philanthropic services, you get to their page and there's a drop down where you can look at, different funding opportunities across different states. They have well over 200 different funding opportunities in this one site alone. And here is the amazing deal here. And this is the reason that I'm there all the time looking at grants, because when you fill out an application through most of these, not all, most of these different bank administered services, they will usually use the same application. Can you believe that? So friends, some of the folks that I support through grants, we've applied for grants through Wells Fargo with the same application. All right. And literally, I can't make this up. Literally, one of our Atlanta-based clients just came back and said, "Hey, I just got a check in the mail." Isn't that the best? You wake up and there's like $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in the mail for your nonprofit. Who doesn't need or want that, right? And so I'm encouraging you to not sleep on these philanthropic services with banks. I would actually check out all of them. Like I can't put them all on my screen, but think about the bank that you bank with, and have place a call to see if they've got these kind of services as well. All right, loving these services. Now, as much as I love talking about where to find them, this is going to do you zero good if you don't know how to actually literally get yourself ready, get yourself grant ready so you're in a position to actually win some of these grants. I wish we had time in this conversation for me to show you how to actually, do the grant writing thing. I don't. This isn't what this is for. There's classes for that. But I am going to take time out to share with you that 3 things that you do need to know about when you're procuring. You're going to procure some of these amazing opportunities by way of letter of inquiry. That is where you are submitting a 1 to 2, usually, page document and you're describing what it is you do, how you do it, who you do it with, your partners, all that, your request for sure, how much you need and what you're going to spend the money on. And there is a method to letter of inquiry. And through SCORE, I have taught this class a million times. Please find it on SCORE's website, because it's going to tell you how you can literally create a letter of inquiry that wins, all right, that wins grants, not the thing that just AI popped out. I mean, the real ones that win grants. There's also the grant proposal itself. Now, I've been doing this in this arena for over 25 years, and I've been writing grants for over 17 of those 25 years. And I can tell you that years ago, people did actually ask for your grant proposal. Few of them want that today. Okay. Most often you're going to use that grant proposal. There's usefulness here. You're going to use it so that you can take the information you've put together in the proposal to apply for your grants or to create your letter of inquiry or anything else that you need. So the grant proposal is still really, really needed. It helps to ensure you've got continuity across your ask, right? Because these funders, I guarantee you, many of them know each other. Okay. And so the grant proposal is useful. You're usually going to apply for most of your grants online. And I don't want anybody to be afraid of what that means. I want you to think of applying for a job, like a job application. You go online and you share with the potential employer all the things about you and why you're a good fit. Same deal with applying for funding. You'll go to an online application, you'll register yourself, and then you will talk about what it is you do as a nonprofit. Online applications are really where this is going. Many organizations, that's what they're asking for. So get prepared for that. And again, how do you do that? Having a grant proposal, because that's where you're going to draw your answers from. So you can cut and paste right on over to these applications. All right. Now, in addition to that, I do need you to know you're not the only one looking for grants. All right. So I have to tell you, there's a lot of competition, not just with the registered nonprofits in our country, but you are even competing with businesses now where you didn't used to for your market share, because lots of businesses are now doing charitable things as well. All right. But just your nonprofit community alone, the IRS last year approved over 9,000 nonprofits, not every year, folks, every month. Okay. Every month. And I know that we're right here in Atlanta or Metro Atlanta, most of you. Actually, that's not true. You guys have come in from all over. But in Atlanta, over 250 nonprofits in this state are typically registered through the IRS every single month. So there's a lot of you that are out there, and y'all all want the same thing. You want to get your hands on that 600 or $6 billion that's out there that we talked about earlier in this conversation. So how do you prepare, right? And remember, this isn't a let's pull out our pads and really start writing. This is just, I'm going to give you a real quick snippet on how to get yourself grant ready, because I want you to be okay out there. First things first, if you're applying for private foundations, they're cause oriented. They care about their cause, not you. They don't. So you don't want to spend a lot of time talking about you as the founder, because that's not what's going to get you funded. All right. On the small business side, that might be what gets you funded, but not on the nonprofit side. It's about the cause. Usually you're going to need to be 501c3 tax exempt for private foundation funding. And usually you're going to need to have a program underway. Not always. We've gotten people funded without that, but I'm saying usually funders are not trying to jumpstart your idea. Too many of you, as I just shared, have ideas. What they're trying to do is figure out who needs their support the most, who already has a program that's underway, who really needs the boost to what it is they're already doing. So approaching a funder to say, I've not done anything yet. I need a building, a van, some staff, and then I'll get started. That's not how you win grants. Get that program started, even if you have to do things that doesn't require a lot of money, like coordinating resources and referrals for the people you want to serve. There's ways to do this, I promise, okay? Collaborators. There's no excuses. With all these nonprofits around, there's no excuses to not have a partner. Even if you're new, go find yourself a partner. I don't have listed here as a resource, and I really should, but there is a platform that's called findhelp.org. When you put in your zip code, you're able to see just a variety of nonprofit organizations all over the community. Find one that you can partner with, maybe some or other organization that's doing something that you don't do. You're a homeless organization, but maybe the people you serve need food. Maybe they need workforce development. Find yourself some partners, because funders nowadays, they're asking about your collaborators. And then your budget and your board list. I've got to mention these. For many of you who haven't applied for funding, or even if you have, maybe applied for 1 or 2 grants, all you know is just your budget. But what I want you to know is the funder sees budgets all day, every day, right? It might take you a week to perfect the budget you want. Meanwhile, they've already reviewed 1,000 budgets. They know what these look like. So get your budget right. And you can have AI help you to do that. You truly can. When you have your program description and you have just the basics about what you want to do, you can plug that into AI and have AI create a logical budget. Then you and your board look at that budget together and figure out what's true for your organization and get that budget together, because you will need it when you're applying for grants. Your board list. I see so many organizations get declined because they're not submitting an appropriate board list. Now, what's an appropriate board list, right? Jane Doe sits on my board. What else do you want to know? Well, many funders want to know a little bit more. These are your gatekeepers. They're your governing body. Funders want to know who's in charge over there. A name doesn't tell them that. So usually they're going to want the name, a contact for that person, and affiliations. Affiliations just means who else are you connected to, right? Are you a veteran? Are you a member of another organization's board? Are you a member of a fraternity or a sorority? Give them something, people, because what they're wanting to do is rule you in for funding. And the way they do that is trying to find some commonalities. So help them to do that. All right. So making sure your board list always has affiliations, because that is what they're looking for. Your website. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later on, but almost 100% of the people that's looking for your services are looking for you online. Are you there? Okay. Are you representing yourself well if you're there? And so the website is a big deal. Folks, don't tell me, oh, I've got social media, Cheryl. And to that, I would say fantastic. It can complement your website, because funders are going to expect that you are professional and that you have that website that's constantly open for anybody looking for you. All right. So get the website, and I'm going to share with you where you can get it for free. All righty. Okay. So I know that went super fast. Hopefully you're going to fill out that survey for SCORE at the end of the presentation so that you can get the replay and these slides for those of you who've come in a little bit late. Okay. Now we're moving right along. We're going to keep this train moving, because now we're going to talk about corporate sponsors. Let me tell you something. It's just always been such an easy path to funding if you're looking at grants from private foundations. You know where they are. They're in databases. But corporate sponsors are a little bit different. Unless you know where to look, you don't know where to look. Corporations, unless they're publicly traded, they don't have to tell you who they fund. They don't. Most, I think there's like 97% of all corporations out there are small corporations, and they are not publicly traded. So how do you even know who's given what, when, or where? Well, there are some reasons, resources that I'm going to share with you right now. So if you are looking for corporate sponsors, I'm going to make it just a little bit easier for you. Okay, so let's dig into corporate sponsors. And the first thing I want to share is that where you first locate sponsors is literally in your own backyard, right? You've got online databases, social media, local businesses, existing relationships. This might not be something that you absolutely want to hear, but it's really true. This is where most of them are. On these online databases that I just mentioned, guess what? Many of them, you can refine your search to corporations only, sponsorships. Many people don't know that. Most people will go to those databases and look for just grants, but many of them will allow you to just refine and look for sponsorships or at least corporate givers. That matters. Your social media, obviously corporations want to be seen, so they're on social media too. Local businesses, many businesses have said the reason they don't give to nonprofit organizations, get this, because nobody ever asked. Can you believe that? Have you asked? When you're driving home or driving down the road, wherever you're going, and you're passing all these different businesses, These are prime opportunities for you. Have you asked? Especially for these mom and pop organizations in your community. They want to be known too. They want visibility too. You bring more visibility. Let them know what you can do to help them, and then they'll help you. Your existing relationships. Do you know that a lot of corporations, they have matching funds? So if you or somebody you know, family members, friends, work for a corporation, that's exactly where I would start. Because oftentimes when an employee gives, the corporation will match. And I'm going to share with you where you can find some of these matches. So these existing relationships are extremely important. I remember working with a client who said, well, yeah, my entire family, we've all worked for I think it was UPS. And I asked, I said, well, had you applied for any corporate sponsorships from UPS? They had not until we talked about it. And then guess what? Now they're getting some sponsorship. I just feel like these are just diamonds in the rough that we just pass right on by without giving them the attention they deserve. So I want you to first look in your own backyard and things you can immediately put your hands on. And those are the things that you see here on my screen. And then I want you just to get creative. You can just Google. Do you remember I said if you're looking for the private foundations, you probably don't want to Google. But if you're looking for corporate sponsorships, you can. Let me show you how. Okay. You could literally take to Google and Google something like top 100 grocery stores. Why would you do that? Well, the top grocery stores usually give grants, right? And grocery stores, think about it. Food, what do they care about? Food insecurity. So that means they're probably going to care about poverty. I don't think there's a grocery store out there that doesn't care about education. Like most of them will give toward education. All right. And so just don't sleep on this because it's not just the grocery store. You could be sports, retail. There are so many different department stores, chains, and just businesses out there. You can start by Googling. And when you do that, go to their corporate site. All right. Don't even have to look for their foundation if they have one. I'm talking about the corporation that's not relying on the foundations and they can use their bottom line dollars however they want to. I had a client once apply for a bank, as a matter of fact, a Wells Fargo actually grant, to which they were declined. They walked right into the bank because this is who they bank with. And they asked the bank about, corporate sponsors and this and that. And guess what? They got money, thousands from that bank because the bank can use their money however they want. It is the foundations that have these different requirements. So don't think that just because on the foundation level you were declined, that the corporation themselves won't probably approve you. I have so many stories I can share with you about that. Okay. You can also go to Forbes. I'm believing they haven't changed this. I haven't checked in about a month, but Forbes still offers opportunities for you to get at their list of data. So best employers by state. Why is that important? You don't become a best employer unless you've got some type of charitable or corporate social responsibility, right? Otherwise, you're not going to make that list. Find these best employers by your state, then go to some of their websites to see what are they doing for the community. How can you get in on that? Make yourself a new friend, essentially, starting with Google. Okay. All right. And so I talked about matches. You can go to websites like Double the Donation. I love them because it's such a big website. Friends, it really is, but they have a whole listing. If you use my exact URL, I don't have the exact URL for all of the opportunities I'm sharing unless I absolutely need it. In this case, I did because it's kind of a challenge to get to that page. And I want you to get there because you can see there are so many opportunities for sponsorships. You can go right onto that page, click on the corporation you're interested in because they have listed the corporations that love to give to nonprofits. Okay. There's also the Shareaway. And I mentioned them earlier, but I mentioned them under grants. But what they're known for is product donations. Now, they don't give the donations. Instead, what they do is they have partnered with thousands of corporations across the country so that these corporations will know who out there needs their support. And so there are corporations giving product donations right now as we speak. All right. I need you to get in on that. There is a fee if you want to have some of the premier features of their platform unlocked for you. But I also know that that free service, it really does do the trick. If you've got an event that's coming up, go ahead and sign up for the free account, put in your event, go ahead and apply. And I'm going to tell you something. These applications for the ShareAway are so miniature compared to the real larger applications. But go ahead and apply for what it is you need. Like I said, if I had the time, I could just, gosh, y'all, I've got so many stories on the ShareAway. I don't actually know any of my clients that tried to get ShareAway donations and didn't. Okay, so don't sleep on that. I know you've got events, you're fundraising, and I know that you're a nonprofit. Get yourself some product donations, including gift certificates. Yep, they also give those. Okay, all right. So then back to Grantsmanship Center. Do I have a play for this? I think I do. Remember I said, go on over to the state resources. This is what it looks like. Okay. So you go over to the state resources. I'm going to click on Georgia here. And in this case, we're looking for corporate giving programs, but you can see here, they're listed. I don't care what state you're joining me from. You're going to be able to do this very same thing for your state. So that's the Grantsmanship Center, and you'll get there from tgci.com. All right. And then I want to talk to you about your local library. This one I think is out of New York, I think. But many times your local library, they have lists, not all of them, but the main libraries will tend to have these lists of corporations that give in your area. And this is just an example, this Forefront Engaging for Impact, this particular library service, they are supporting their nonprofit community by listing out in-kind, big gifts, corporations. So they've got lists that you might not know about that's literally in your area, right? And you can connect directly with some of these amazing opportunities. So I would say, check out your library system and see what they're offering to support the nonprofit community, because I believe that you're going to be surprised. All right. Now, again, knowledge is only potential power. See, I grew up thinking that knowledge is power. People would say that, right? It's not power unless you use it, right? And sometimes you don't even know the questions to ask. So we're now going to talk about how do you position yourself for these corporations, and they're different from private foundations. They are, friends. So you don't want to approach them the same way. Corporations are very, very employee and consumer oriented. They care about their assets, and those two categories of folks are their assets. And they also care about visibility. Companies need to be visible. This is how they thrive. So you've got to know that up front. The cause, yes, it's important. I mean, it is. But what's important is their employees, their consumers, and visibility. So when you're going to apply for corporations to give you anything, you will usually see we give in areas that our employees live and work, or our employees are residing, or our consumers are. That's what they're going to be caring about. So how do you get yourself ready? Well, you can do this by developing a concise letter of inquiry. And I first want to pause to say, every single funder has their own requirements for how you apply. The letter of inquiry is amazing because if you come across a funder that really doesn't have exact or precise path to funding, but you know that they will give because you can see on their corporate social responsibility page, they're given. So one of the things you could do is develop a concise letter of inquiry. And that's going to be maybe a page and a half. You don't want to write a dissertation for corporations because they will not read it. Okay. So about a page and a half. And what do you say in that letter? Well, you're going to define what you're going to offer. You tell them about who you are, what your cause is, what you need the corporate sponsorship for, and then you will always share with them what's in it for them, because again, they are interested in visibility. So here are some things you could offer, right? I'm not suggesting you do all of these, but here are some things. Obviously, logo placement. When their logo shows up on your website, that's just another whole group of people that maybe they weren't exposed to before, so it helps them. Their product or service displays at your events. If you're going to be creating these or participating in outdoor events, they love to have their products there too, right? Whether it's the water, the chips, the this, the that, whatever it is, they want to be forefront. They love content creation, right? So you probably have a newsletter anyway. Go ahead and create an article about them and their giving and how thankful you are to have received it. So, and then share it with them and then share it on social media. That kind of thing they absolutely love. Employee involvement, especially those banks. I used to work for a nonprofit, and the banks would show up like clockwork every holiday season to help with anything that we needed. And now on these applications, what I'm finding a lot is not just banks, but a lot of corporations will ask, are you open to volunteers? You know why? Because when their volunteers come out and support your event, they're not wearing your t-shirt. They're wearing the corporation's t-shirt. They're advertising. But meanwhile, you still get that free human labor, right? And so they get paid from their corporation. You're not paying them, but it's free labor for you. So they love to get their employees out into the community. It's good morale for the employees too. And then endorsements, only if you want to, but these corporations pay a lot of money for endorsements. So if there's something that you use on a regular basis anyway, endorse it if you want, right? Endorse it if you want, because they'd have to pay for those endorsements otherwise. And so these are some of the things that you could offer, right? And you want to be able to get their attention. The whole point of the letter of inquiry is to get the potential funder to continue to read to the end. And when they're reading about themselves, who doesn't want to read about themselves? They will usually continue to the end. Okay. And then you prepare your pitch proposal. And I say prepare a pitch because lots of times, not all the time, but a lot of times they will ask you to pitch. And so sometimes they'll ask you just to send in a video of what it is that you're doing. They like to see who they're connected to because they're very visible. So they want to see you. Okay. And then follow up and maintain those relationships. I can tell you there's so many corporations that we've dealt with when I used to work in a nonprofit that would just stick with us for years and years and years and years. They love a good thing, just like the government. They love a good thing. And so when you find a good partner, they'll usually stick with you. So I would not sleep on corporate sponsors. All right. And so we're going to keep our conversation moving. I did promise the small business that I would have something for you. So here is your segment. All right. And so I know that you guys are out there. I know you're doing amazing work in your communities too. And I know you need to stay open. We need you, right? You're an intricate part of our economy. So we need you to thrive as well. Right. And I get it. Hey, I am you. I'm telling you, I'm you. So where do you find grants? I want you to, there's lots of places, but I want you to look for grants at your state level. I probably should have brought Georgia up, and I think I did on the next slide, but a lot of states have moved to portals, right? I love this so much. I think this is like so juicy. So there's a lot of states out there who've now hired developers to create portals so that nonprofits can go and find state grants right there in their state. I love it. In order to get at these portals, because I know you guys are joining me from like all over the country, you'll put in your state.gov grant portal. That's what you're going to put in the Google search. And then if your state has a grant portal, it should come up using that in my quotes. See what I've got on the screen there. And this is an example of California's. And you can see here that they have the ability to actually search. California offers that. Now, there are some states where it's not that, it's not that robust, but they'll at least provide you with a nice, handsome list of grants for small businesses in your state. Okay. If you are in a state like mine, Georgia, I love Georgia. We're the peach state now. They don't necessarily have theirs completely developed yet. And I believe that Georgia is working on it, friends. But what you can do is just go to georgia.gov, look at that little search bar and put in funding opportunities. And then you will get a listing of funding opportunities in the state from state agencies. Now, you're not going to get non-state agencies here, but for state agencies, at least you'll get it. You can't operate this kind of search like it's a data set, like fine tuning and keywords, but you can at least get a list that you can filter through, find the state agency that you probably should be applying for funding for, get on their newsletter so you don't miss grant opportunities. And there you have it. You can start to each year apply for funding. I love state funding so much for you as nonprofits because states will go outside the state if they have to get what they need done, but they do prefer to do business within the state. Okay. All right. And so if you are still a small business and looking for grants because maybe you've got a technology that you want to bring to market. That would be the American Seed Fund. That would be the SBIR, right? So those grants are for businesses, not nonprofits, businesses that have some type of technology or resource that they really want to get out there. And you, in this case, don't even have to have it all figured out, right? Phase one is just feasibility. Could this work? Okay. And so you get like 50, 100,000, a lot of money to figure out your feasibility. If you are looking for other types of grants in addition to just research, then you might try grants.gov. They do have grants for businesses, but the vast majority are not. So please use the search feature so that you can narrow your search to those organizations that do give to small businesses. That's going to be important to you. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting your search time there. Okay. Repositories, let's keep moving. If you are a small business, one of the things I have found to be beneficial is grant repositories. If you go to NerdWallet, at the very top menu, they've got small business funding. Click on that, and then you can go to small business grants, and they've got a large listing of different grant opportunities for you right on NerdWallet. It's such a big site, but they've done a very good job. And I believe it gets updated for small businesses like every quarter. There's also some of the other faves for me are at the very bottom. There is Hello Alice. Sign up for all of these, right? Hello Alice will send you out weekly newsletters with funding opportunities, technical support opportunities. There's I Fund Women. They also fund men. They just have that name, but I would go on over there because they also give grants on a regular basis. And then I love Ladies Who Launch. I actually met with one of their head folks over there who started the organization, and they do a really good job. They have an Airtable. It's free, right? There's no cost for this. And they list current grant opportunities for small businesses. So please go on over to Ladies Who Launch. And although they're called Ladies Who Launch, fellas, they also have grants, period, regardless of gender. So there are grants in that database that will suit you as well. So I think they're probably one of my faves. Seriously, they do a very good job. All right. So these are some that maybe you don't know about. I'm not sure if you guys are very familiar with F6S, but they are known for incubators, accelerators, but they also have grant opportunities. They have a free membership. You sign up and you can surf through all these amazing opportunities for yourselves, and they keep these updated on a regular basis. There's also the Chamber, U.S. Chamber. It's a challenge sometimes to get to this exact space, but they do offer on a regular basis grants, loans, and other things, but grants for small businesses across the United States. So these are lesser known opportunities that you can actually chime in on and see what they've got going on for the small business community. But I wouldn't sleep on them because some of the grants you find here, you're probably not going to find on other websites. So if you are serious about grants, you'll also check these two out. Okay. And last, but certainly not least, databases. Yeah. Even if you are a small business, believe it or not, there are still databases that offer grants for listings for small businesses. Now, they're not widespread, but they're still there. So if you have a subscription, or in my case, a pass for a database that's traditionally nonprofit, you will still find small business grants there. You just have to keyword search for them, but they are there in abundance. There's lots of them. So I wouldn't sleep on these databases that are traditionally nonprofit. Check them out for yourselves as well, small business owners. Okay, so you guys still with me? It's a lot. I know it's a lot. I have here tea. Okay. It is loaded with honey and lemon because I have to talk so much and so fast with this particular presentation because I don't want you to miss out on anything. So I'm giving you like everything I can possibly think of, right? And so I know it's a lot, but promise you, here comes some help, all right? So those were some places you can go to find some amazing resources. But now I need you to be supported, okay? So let's get some support. And thank you. I see the hearts, because you guys can I know how that feels, right? We all have these to-do lists that seem like they're never ending, right? Time to sleep. All right, so let's move on. Let's get you all some resources going here. So these are things that are places you can go to get some help. All right. And so Good 360. All right. So Good 360, you can sign up for them. If you are a nonprofit, it's free to sign up. And guess what? They literally give out, in terms of value, billions of dollars in value of goods to nonprofits. And you pay a nominal administration fee, right? And they give these things out in the pallets, in the truckload. So if you haven't signed up for Good 360 already, please do that and get yourself some donations. NAIR is another that you can sign up for now. In the first year, they're going to charge. It's free. First year is free. Second year is $59, but they have a small little fee. But I'm going to tell you what, you can save so much money. These events and the things that you're doing for your public, 95% off is what you can compare it to. So that 5% fee they charge you for admin fee, that is nominal compared to what you would normally pay if you had to buy some of this inventory. And by the way, the inventory is not like Goodwill stuff, not to knock on Goodwill. I love Goodwill. You know, they do a good job out in their community, but this is overstock. This is new stuff, right? So if you need new products and supplies, this is new, right? So go ahead and sign up. Again, NAIR for the first year is free. Thereafter, it's $59. Taproot. So many of you will contact me or SCORE, and I don't want you to stop, okay? But I do want you to know that Taproot does a fantastic job of getting in there and giving you those pro bono services. They have technical expertise. They're a different kind of volunteer, and it's all free to you. You're not going to pay for it. But let's say you needed help with a marketing plan, a database, a website, accounting systems, things like that. Think those very specific skills. They've got volunteers that join them to support the nonprofit community. And they, like you can see here on my sheet here, they have been around since 2001, and they have they say over 40,000 skilled volunteers, and they've helped over 13,000 organizations. I mean, I cannot talk enough about how amazing I believe Taproot Foundation is. So I would definitely check them out if you need the help. Many of you struggle with understanding what's, your legal compliance is versus, things that might not be legally compliant. And for that, I would say, look at your pro bono partnership, because Atlanta is our host city, state. I'm featuring Pro Bono Partnership of Atlanta, but also because I've used them and I think they're fantastic. I remember using them when I worked for another organization, and they stayed with us for a year. They helped us write our employee handbook. They looked over all of our contracts. If you need, and most of you will, need to complete a charitable registration application for your state, they will also help you do that. All right. So these are real attorneys that will show up for you free. It's pro bono. And another thing I love about most of the pro bono sites is you can literally go to the nonprofit tab, and they've got other resources and sometimes templates and things that's going to be very useful to you. The catch here is that you really do need to be 501c3. They just don't have the bandwidth anymore to help people become 501c3 tax exempt. They used to long time ago. Nowadays, they're just bombarded. So they're helping organizations that are already tax exempt, but check them out if you need legal assistance. Okay. There's also SCORE. Speaking of good free. And so SCORE allows you to really access not only workshops like this, right, but also people, experts. You know what? One of the reasons that I support SCORE chapters across the country, and also I'm a partner with SCORE Association National, is because I used to be a mentee. I did a long time ago, but I was a mentee. And then I became a SCORE certified mentor. I love SCORE so much for everything that they do and contribute. These are real people that's giving back to you on a regular basis because they want to. Nobody's paying them. All right. I'm no longer a SCORE certified mentor. I have to tell you all that so I don't get flooded with inbox. Can you be my mentor? I don't do that anymore, but SCORE has amazing mentors that do. every single day. Please take advantage of the good free. They want to hear from you, and they're amazing folks. Okay. And so now let's move on with our technology. So we've got to talk about technology, don't we? Because we need to move ourselves ahead, and technology can help you do that if you use it right? Or if you access the right technology sources. And so what's out there that can help? Lots of things. If you are a nonprofit, I definitely want you to have some free things, right? And one of the things that you all get free that I don't are email addresses. I know it's small, but it adds up. My small team of like 4 times 26, dollars each, that adds up every single month. Whereas if you're a nonprofit and you're signed up for Google for Nonprofit, do you know you have unlimited email addresses for free? To get to that good free, you have to first sign up for GoodStack, which is also an amazing resource. So GoodStack gives you discounts on different types of technology that you might need, like I believe it's Adobe, and I know they have Zoom and some others, right? Lots of them. Asana, I can't think of all of them, but lots of them. But the bigger point here is GoodStack is the third-party identifier for Google for nonprofits. So you can't sign up for Google for nonprofits unless you're signed up for GoodStack. And just FYI, for my folks out there that have tried and gotten denied, so have I. With my nonprofit, I have too. And then I just fought it. I want you to too. We don't give up and quit. Lack is a lie. You can go out and get it. And I want you to never give up. So go and just fight it if you've been declined until you're approved, which is what I did. Okay. And so I know you can do it. So I want you to sign up and get all this good free. There's also TechSoup. If you're looking for technology resources, I need you to know that when you sign up for TechSoup, as a nonprofit, it's going to expose you to a lot of different platforms where you're going to get discounts. I've got some of them listed here on my site, but it's an amazing resource for most nonprofits. There's also your website. I want you to get free websites, and 48 and 48, these are web developers that dedicate their time every single quarter to launch or establish websites for nonprofits for absolutely free. They're going to ask you to fill out information. Of course they will. That should not be a distraction or a barrier to you. You know your organization better than anybody. Fill out their questionnaire and then get on their list. And every quarter when they open it up to new nonprofits, I'd love to see you be one of those nonprofits. Several of my clients have gotten free websites from 48 and 48. Okay. Brevo. I love Brevo, all right? We use Brevo. I used to use other mailers, and there was nothing wrong with them necessarily, but I like Brevo because I'm loving the price, all right? When you subscribe to as many things as I do, every extra $10 becomes a thing. And so to save money, I tried to find solutions that really worked and were top quality. Brevo does an amazing job with mailing mass emails out to your cohorts, right? So Brevo would be one. I've got their price listing here. I also use Buffer, right? My team uses Buffer because if we want to send out social media and we want to schedule it, Buffer helps us to do that, and they help us to do it at a nominal price. They even have free, and I believe, I don't remember what the free included, but it did include like 1 or 2 different social media platforms that you can schedule your social media posts for, and they make it so easy, friends. So free to $10. I mean, again, seriously, omit one professionally curated cup of coffee a month, and you've paid for this. All right. There's also Zeffy. I think I mentioned Zeffy before. They're 100% free. I have used them. This fundraising platform isn't just one thing. Ticketing, donations, peer-to-peer, auctions, e-commerce, memberships, almost whatever you need for your nonprofit in terms of technology platform and support. They have donor management even. All of it is free. Even if a donor gets to the end and decides not to donate anything to Zeffy, it's still going to be free for you. 100%. I think they're the only 100% platform. I know that Give Butter and Fundraise, they're freemium. Like there's free in the beginning, but eventually as you start to use and you grow it, it is going to be a price. But Zeffy isn't that way. But I do like these other two here. And these are like donor management systems. I usually will get people asking me, well, who do you use? Who do you recommend? Zeffy for me, but I also recommend these other two. I have signed up for Give Butter, but I really don't use them. All right. Full full disclosure there. Asana and Notion. And so this is if you really want to get into managing your team's workspace. I've used Notion for many years. I say that loosely, my team has. One of the reasons I like Notion is because it's a great space for all your team to, collaborate, sharing information. For me, I have small onboarding videos for people that we, onboard and helps to support me. And they're really good work management platforms that you can use. And Asana, if I'm not mistaken, there's discounts through Good Stack and probably TechSoup too, but I know for sure Good Stack will give you a discount if you're interested in getting this work management platform. There's also JotForms. I like JotForms and Zoho, but for different reasons. If you're a nonprofit, you've got forms. I know you do, or you need forms, right? Your assessments, your intake, your attendance, whatever it is. And you can go right on over to JotForms. I have found that the free starter package does an amazing job, right? And creating most of your forms seamlessly. There is Zoho. A lot of you are not using accountants, and that's fine if you're not there yet where you're doing that, or a bookkeeper. And many of you are not comfortable using like QuickBooks right now. I like all of those things. However, if that is you, you can go over to Zoho.com. Be sure to Google billing bookkeeping because Zoho offers so many products and I don't want you to get lost in the shuffle. They actually have a free version too. I think I just have, the $29 here, but they have a free version of Zoho bookkeeping and that's probably all you all need. It is so easy to use. You put in your, whatever you've spent for the month, use your bank ledger, right? What you've spent, what you've received, and they will allow you to run these reports because many of these funders are going to ask for financials. And where do you get those? When a funder asks for financials, they're not asking for your bank statement, right? They want a snapshot of your financial history, what you've done. Zoho can help with that by helping you to create those reports that you're going to need for grants, as long as you've input your data. All right, that's the important piece, input the data. But I like Zoho for that reason. Canva and Adobe, I do use both. I meant to swap this out for, I hope I've got it in here, Claude Design, but I use both of these. Canva is really great for creating almost anything. Remember those social media posts? You can even create those here. All kinds of infographics, PowerPoint presentations like this one. You can do a lot of things with Canva, and Canva has a free version for nonprofits, by the way. Adobe I use Adobe for so many things. Adobe is so vast. I use them for DocuSign things, creating different presentations. Adobe is amazing. And these are some resources that you might look at yourself. Zoom. Obviously, we use Zoom. If you go through Good Stack has a special where they will give you 50% off of your Zoom subscription for the year. 50% off, friends, right? Vimeo, if you're recording things and you need that recording to have it linked or posted on YouTube or something, you can obviously use a Canva for that, but I happen to use Vimeo for hours. And so Vimeo is really good for videos. There's also Trainer Central. Now, this is actually really important to me because I am a trainer. So this is the reason I'm sharing this one, is because there are a lot of platforms out there, learning management platforms, course creation platforms, but they're really expensive. I can't remember where I discovered Trainer Central, but they're not really expensive. And they do the same thing. And I know this because I've used almost all of them. All right. And so you can try the free version, which I didn't think was terrible, up to $20 a month. And this is for any of you out there where, let's say, even if you're youth mentoring, if you're, helping the homeless, animal welfare, regardless, you might want to create a small course or, some informationals. And you might need a platform where people can register, sign up and pay, or give it to them for free. And this is just one place where you can go and get these course management opportunities at a very low price. And I'm telling you, it's so worth the money. And I have no stake in you using them or not. I just like to share good free. Okay. All right. So let's get into AI and then we're going to get into questions. I know this has been a lot. Y'all are amazing. Listen, we're past the hour. If you have to get to work, scoot. All right. Fill out the questionnaire so that you can get all the rest of these things that I have not shared yet. Do not lose your day job and inbox me. get on back to work if you have to. Okay. But if you can hang out with me, hang out for another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to address questions. Okay. AI is not going to take that long. We are at this point already familiar with AI, so I'm probably going to be sharing with you things you already know. Like most of you know, there's ChatGPT and there's DeepSeeks of the world. These are conversational AIs that can help you write in ways that maybe you haven't written in the past, right? A lot of times that you want to apply for funding opportunities, but the ask is what really trips you up, right? You know what you want to say. It is in your heart already, in your head already, but just taking it from head, heart to paper has been a challenge. You didn't grow up wanting to be a grant writer, right? How many of you seriously said when you were a child, when I grow up, I want to be a grant writer? Not even me. I didn't even say that. Like, I didn't know that, right? So I know that's not what you want to do. These conversational AIs can take all of that extra fuss out of your writing by helping you curate documents that you probably wouldn't have been able to do independently, okay? There's also Gemini. I love Gemini for Nana Banana. They can create images that are amazing in like a minute, all right? Grok, if you just want to be told what you need to do without any like bedside manner, then you'll go to Grok. I like Grok. I'm just teasing, but there's also Grok. There's Claude. Yes. So there is Claude AI. So I know that Claude is like huge. It's out there, but many of you probably are not using Claude Design, and I want you to. Claude Design, it's sort of a part of the Claude group, meaning it's going to, if you have Claude Pro or Max, then you can have access to design. But Claude Design, it's like Canva on steroids. You can literally create an entire design system for your organization down to like your brand colors. I mean, all your branding, your logo, your everything. And it will even create the things that you want to advertise like out there to the world, your website, your social media, all of that, keeping with your brand colors. Claude Design is amazing. Okay. So I would love to see you all at least check it out. It's amazing. And there's Manus. So for those of you all who have ever heard of like AI agents, it's like the AI agent on steroids, right? It was bought out last December by Meta, right? Facebook people. But they do an amazing job. So what I love about Manus, do you know, I can put in 10, 15 different Excel spreadsheets and say, hey, go through all these spreadsheets for me and then, aggregate them, get rid of all my duplicates, and it can have several tabs, whatever. It will do it for you. Manus can even work independently of you. And again, this is I'm sharing some information that you all just really need to know about. You can create websites from Manus. You can do that. And it can automatically update the website for you. It's like having an assistant. So Manus is an amazing AI platform. There's also Perplexity. I use Perplexity almost every day for research. I'm a grant writer. And so if you're out there writing grants and you want some solid research, you might consider Perplexity. I use Jenny if I'm doing something for university, because they're more like university level research there with Jenny AI. There's also Candly. I use that so that I don't have to worry about scheduling and getting back and forth with people in the emails until we figure out when we want to meet each other. And then Candly also gives me recaps so that I don't have to worry about my meeting notes. It will take those for me. Otter does the same thing. I believe they both have basic free versions for you, so you don't necessarily have to pay for the other versions there. And there's also Easy Peasy. Easy Peasy is like I love it. It's like an all-in-one platform. So a lot of the things that I just shared with you right now, it offers in one platform, right? The chat, the content creation, the images, the lots of things. Actually, my website has a bot on it, a chat box on it that came from Easy Peasy. And I am really not like a developer by trade. Like I know enough to be dangerous, probably. My actual website person said, no, you're not allowed to do that. We created it and they put it on there. But the chat box, we created and put it on there, and you just feed it the information. So if somebody comes to your website, then you'll know what a chat box looks like. You all probably filled out chats, but I got that from Easy Peasy. They do an amazing job. All right. So I can't talk to you about AI without having this screen here, truly, because I want you to be okay for real. And when we discuss AI, especially with grant writing, you do need to know it's not infallible. I know you've heard it before, but I have to repeat it because AI will create things that maybe you are not doing every day, but it sounds so great. You want to tell the funder anyway. And I would say, please don't. Always tell your truth, right? Go through the AI, have somebody else look at it with you just to make sure that they haven't embellished in ways that can get you into some trouble somewhere, right? Don't rely on it alone. Always fact check. And I'm saying these things like, okay, here's the next thing, but I will tell you, this is all truth, all right? I follow these procedures too. So I just want you to be okay out there when you do use your AI. I've given you so much here today, and I know it's a lot. Fill out the survey so that you can circle back and get at these amazing resources. But this is the list of most of them. I think I probably missed like the resources for like the nonprofit in the very beginning, but these are most of the resources that I did share with you all today. And there was a lot. That means you just have a lot of help, okay? And you also have SCORE. So amidst all these resources, if you have challenges figuring out how do you apply them, do they make sense for you, just know that you're not alone, all right? You're not. You've got people out there who care and want to support you, okay? I'm actually one of those people. I care and want to support you. You guys are amazing. My final thought is it's not enough to be compassionate. You have to act. When I first started my business, I've been in this arena for over 25 years, but I started my business almost 10 years ago. And I remember nonprofits would come to me and say, well, I'm a nonprofit. Like that was enough. It isn't. Being passionate and compassionate is not enough. Friends, you have to act. This isn't like manna. You're not going to wake up one day and money just starts pouring down on you. You got to go get it relentlessly and never give up. I believe you can do it. I know you can. All of those nonprofits that are out there, the real big ones like the Feeding Americas of the world, even the Good 360s, the Salvation Army, Boys and Girls Club, Goodwill, all of them that bring in like $1 billion and things. You can too. They started at go. They started at the beginning. And so you all are capable of so much more than you even give yourselves credit for. Stop that. You're amazing. Go out there and get the money. Don't leave it on the table. Again, I think that should just be illegal. So I am Cheryl Smith, the CEO for Doolin Nonprofit Services and now connectogrants.com. And it's been my pleasure.
I know it's a lot, y'all. I hope y'all got good notes.